What is good? Fuck, good. Everyone. Shoobs here. This is so scuffed. I just want to note that Prevail sent these switches over for a honest review. I was not paid for this review, but I am affiliated with them, so you can use the link in the description or the code Shoobs for 5% off anything you buy at Prevail. What is good, everyone? Shoobs here. Well. Guess who is back with a Switch review? I'm not gonna lie, I've been actively avoiding Switch reviews for close to 4 months now because truth be told, my brain goes boom after making one. It really takes a toll on my 2 remaining brain cells, I'm not gonna lie. But we are back with something very pretty. These right here are the Nebula Switches from Prevail. So Prevail is the company that brought you the very famous Epsilon Switches. These, like the Epsilons, are a JWK manufactured switch featuring a full nylon housing, long pole LY stem, which is apparently a new material, as well as a 62-gram long progressive spring that was found in the Epsilons, except with a lighter weight. So these come factory lubed very lightly, which Prevail has said is a new optimized method. I don't really know what that means, but I was told these are supposed to be pretty good stock, which it seems like it because these are pretty smooth. However, besides the actual specs of the Switch, I think one of the main standout parts of the Switch is definitely how the Switch looks. It has this semi-translucent purple housing with silver sparkles, and honestly they look very nice and quite unique. Anyways, like always, we'll be comparing these Nebulas to some of the popular switches in the market. I think my list is getting a bit outdated now. Maybe I'll do a refresh on the big bad Switch reviews pretty soon. Looking at the stems of these switches, one thing to note outright is that the stem on these Nebulas are longer than the P3 stems on the Epsilons, so that is one interesting feature. Welcome to another episode of Shoobs' Scuffed Stem Wobble Test. Please keep in mind that this isn't very accurate, it's very scuffed, there is switch variance and all that, so just take this with a grain of salt. But first off, JWK Nebulas. Pretty tight. The new JWK molds have been gone quite tight actually, so I don't think you really need to film these. The Epsilons were also pretty tight. Tixies also very tight. I never film. Gatorons, a bit wobbly. I would film Gatorons. Cherry Switches, Cherry MX Blacks, also a bit wobbly. Black Inks, also wobbly. And these are the KTT Lemon something. I forgot the name, but the KTTs are also pretty tight, so these are pretty good. Like always, sound tests are not 100% accurate. Everyone's setup is different, and you should take these tests with just a grain of salt. I just want to note that whatever I say here is of my own opinion on these switches and other switches, and your opinions might differ, and there's my own personal biases as well. So starting off with the smoothness of these switches, I'm not gonna lie, these new modern switches have just gotten way too smooth, smoother than my brain. I could put this in the same category of smoothness as such switches as Gat X's, Gatoron CJ's, Tangerines, you know, all in the tier of the frictionless behavior category. In short, when lubed, these are frickin' smooth. As for the sound profile of these switches, these are definitely on the lower pitched, sort of deeper end. However, these do have that louder and harder hitting bottom out because of the elongated pull in addition to that sort of sound profile. Now, for my general observations and comparisons, I think a lot of people watching want to know basically how these compare to the Epsilons. So both of these switches were designed by Prevail. The Epsilons are quite popular with them being a smooth and deep switch and all that. So how are these new Nebulas compared to that? Short answer, I would say that these new Nebulas are a nice addition to that realm. These aren't necessarily a upgrade, although the stock performance on the Nebulas is noticeably better, but if you use stock switches, I'll come and spank you. When lubed, both the Nebulas and Epsilons are both smooth and have a similar sound profile of being in the deeper pitched end. Also, I want to add the Nebulas need way less tuning as well, as the upgraded factory lube job is actually quite clean, so I literally just lubed over the factory lube on the stem only, and that was enough. No bottom or top housing lubing or anything like that at all. Also, I bag looped the springs as well. However, back on the topic, the real difference between these switches is on the feel of the bottom out specifically. These Nebulas have a longer pull and the bottom out impact is thus also much harder hitting than the Epsilons. In addition, this makes the Nebulas louder for the harder bottom out typer such as myself, and thus it's a different typing experience altogether. As for the cons for the Nebulas, I honestly don't have much. Everything seems to be pretty solid, maybe the price of these, but they're pretty much in line with most JWKs, so yeah, nothing really outright wrong with these. Overall, these switches are a fine addition to the same sort of market the Epsilons are covering, which is that deep, smooth, long pull market, while offering a even more apparent long pull experience with the harder hitting bottom out and louder bottom out. I would say if you're looking for a very smooth, deep, long pull switch, these Nebulas are definitely one to consider.